Hi everyone, it's Rachel from Wraps by Rachel. Also, burn that butter, right? Burn that butter is something that is new for me. That's my Instagram. I have lost a lot of weight since I last did a video. I've lost about 35 pounds so far, and I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really peppy and spunky, and I feel just much happier with less weight on me. Probably have about 40 pounds, give or take, left to go. I'll know when I get there. Anyhow, one of the things that I had done, I had started doing the 75 hard challenge, and I made a video about how I was kind of modifying that for myself. I didn't ultimately complete that for a variety of reasons, which I'm going to tell you in a minute. But one of the things that I did, I've continued with the book reading as part of the program because I really wanted to incorporate that into my life. And so I'm going to be doing some book reviews for you here of some of the books, self-help books that I've read. But I did want to explain why I didn't continue with the challenge and what I kept from it and what I didn't keep from it. So I am keeping most days, I'm exercising at least once, usually twice. Not necessarily doing the exercising outdoors because the weather where I am can be really variable. We've had a lot of like crazy winds. We've had just these driving rainstorms, and I don't need to be out in that unless I have to. So I've been either running outside. Sometimes I go walking with my husband, but I've reached a point in fitness where I need something a little bit more than just walking. So I'm running, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing weights, I'm doing the elliptical machine. Sometimes here in my house, I do resistance bands, which is a completely different kind of exercise, I feel like, other than doing the traditional weights. I actually feel like I get a better workout with the resistance bands. They just work your muscles very differently. And what else am I doing? Oh, and I also do the figure eight fitness. So usually in the evenings, after dinner, after I've had about an hour or so to digest my dinner, I do figure eight fitness most evenings. So I'm doing a lot of exercise and diet. So I've continued with the 2-a-days for most days. Here is what I didn't like about the 75 hard challenge, and that is the exercising every day with no breaks, because even God took a day off, right? I am 52 years old. I've said that before. This is what 52 looks like. And exercising every day, twice a day, with no days off is just a recipe for injuries. And I did have a few injuries along the way, it was not related to the exercise, but I stepped out of my car wrong and I totally like twisted my knee, and then that was affecting my ability to exercise really well. I also just, stupid little things like that. So I need to be kinder to my body, but yeah, most days I am moving. So continuing with that. And the selfies every day, I'm doing a lot of selfies, but I don't need to do that constantly. And I did like keeping the my cat, taking a bath there. It's sitting on my bed because, I'm a real person. Anyhow, I really did like the idea of reading a book every night. I don't necessarily read every night, but I have been reading self-help books, and I found this to be really helpful. So I'm going to talk about the books that I have read and what I thought about them and kind of what I took from them. And I'm open to suggestions. If you think that there's a book that I should be reading, I would love to do that. So the first book that I read is The Science of Sleep, and by Heather Darwell Smith. And the reason I chose this book is because most of my life, I've had horrible insomnia problems. And you know, sometimes I might go for months and not have an issue, and then it'll start up, and I have trouble either getting to sleep, staying asleep. I'll lie there for hours and hours on end, and it's just awful. Well, one of the things that I have learned from Lumen, and I've talked about Lumen before. Lumen is a device that helps to see what's going on with your metabolism at any point in time. I have been using this, and Lumen has really helped me to figure out what works and what doesn't work in my body. And it is amazing. The nights that I have had some sleeping trouble, I see it the next day with my Lumen scores, right? Even if I'm exercising, doing a lot of working out, putting this in its little carrying case, even if I had kind of a low calorie or lower carb kind of day where I should wake up and be in a fat burning mode, if I did not have good sleep, I am not burning fat, right? So I completely see it. So I found this book fairly helpful. There's a lot of stuff in it that is not necessarily appropriate for me. I think that it should be like maybe two separate books, where like there's a book specific for like infants and children and their sleep issues, and then a book about adults. But the information that's in here is really good, and the suggestions that are in here are really good. And I have been working on improving my sleep hygiene so that I sleep better. And because I am sleeping better, my body is doing way better with its metabolism. So yes, I definitely recommend this book. I do feel like I'm kind of opening to sort of a random page. It has a lot of kind of like illustrations and charts and things like that to kind of help explain what they're talking about. There's even like a glossary in the back, because they do go over some, you know, this person is a sleep specialist, and so here's like a chart, you know, for tracking your sleep, that sort of thing, from being what's normal, what's not, things along those lines. It kind of reads sort of like a really big magazine article, which, I mean, that's good in a way that it's easy to break down. It's well illustrated. It's pretty well explained. But it is a little on the simplistic side. I think that comes from, you know, coming from this publishing line, DK. They do tend to kind of put out kind of things that are a little more simplistic and easy to understand. And that's good and it's bad. I don't know that I necessarily needed something a little bit more hardcore scientific, but I appreciated the information that was in here. Okay, this is a winner. All right, so the next book that I read, not necessarily in this order, but the next book that I'm going to discuss, The Joy of Movement, here by Kelly McGonigal, PhD. And this is a book just about kind of combining the science of movement and just the what happens in your brain when you're moving, whether it's walking or dancing or, you know, doing aerobics or climbing a mountain, things along those lines. And it's okay. This book was not the greatest. It was okay. I think that what I was looking for was maybe, you know, how exercise helps us find happiness, hope, connection, and courage, what it says on the cover. I guess I was just looking for something that maybe would kind of inspire me more to move. There's a lot of, you know, she has a lot of just kind of like personal history kind of stuff, which that's fine. But it just could use a little editing. That's what I feel. I feel like there was a little bit too much of the personal. The personal was a little repetitive, and then it kind of felt like, you know, when you were in high school and you had to write a paper and the paper had to be like 5,000 words and you only had 3,000 words. So then you had to kind of expand on and add some flowery language. I feel like there was a little bit of that kind of going on here with this book. So this book was okay. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the greatest. And I'll be honest, when I got about 3/4 of the way through it, it's like I kind of started really like skipping and skimming, because I felt like I'd gotten what I needed out of this book. But basically, yeah, when you move, like, you have happy things that happen in your brain. So you should move, right? Because then you have less stress and you sleep better, and you feel more self-confident, and you have the happy hormones. So there you go. Okay. So the next book that I read is kind of a similar theme, but Twyla Tharp, I love her. So a million years ago, as a kid, I used to be a dancer. I did ballet and jazz, and I did various forms of dance from about age 6 to about age 15, 16, something like that. And so Twyla Tharp, if you don't know who she is a choreographer. She is a dancer. And as of the publishing of this book, she is 79 years old. And so she is talking about movement as you age. And again, I'm 52, and sometimes I'm feeling it. I don't have the flexibility that I used to have. I certainly don't have the balance that I used to have. And so this book, there's a little bit of kind of the personal history kind of thing, and, her dealing with her aging body and what she can do and what she can't do, and things along those lines, although I'm sure that her physical flexibility and all of those things are just way beyond anything that I am able to do at this point. But it also includes some exercises of things that you can do to kind of combat some of the typical kinds of aging problems. And I enjoyed this. I highly recommend this book. Okay. Yep. So, all right. So then the next book that I read, it's called Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies, right? And Other Rituals to Fix Your Life, from someone who's been there. And the author is Tara Schuster, and apparently she is a writer for like Comedy Central. And she's clearly a younger person than me. This book is pretty much, as you can tell from just the title, this book is in your face. And it's not necessarily about exercising, although there is some stuff about exercising. There's some stuff about keeping a healthy diet. It's a lot of self-esteem type stuff. And one of the things that she says, like, you know what, if buying flowers and having flowers in your home makes you happy, then buy yourself the fucking lilies and put them on your dining room table, and, every 2 weeks, just buy them for yourself. Things along those lines. She also talks about, she wasn't addicted to drugs, but she would do drugs, do a lot of alcohol, and then gave that up in her life, and just finding different ways to cope with the stresses of her life. There's a lot of the personal in here. She apparently grew up in a very dysfunctional household, a household that wound up being divorced parents, and then the dysfunction got even worse when her parents divorced, and so she and her sister had to deal with this just really bizarre, she tells these really bizarre stories of odd things that happened in her childhood, and she didn't even realize that was just like not normal. And I mean, this was a highly entertaining book to read. Sometimes it just, I think that if I met her in real life, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I would like her. She's all over the place. She's kind of manic, and perhaps that's from the upbringing. Perhaps she's trying, this kind of mania that she exhibits in her personal choices and her energy levels and things like that. It probably translates very well in her line of work. But sometimes it was kind of uncomfortable reading this only because it was just so in your face. And I'm a person who likes things in your face, you know, like I'm a kind of in your face person too, but it's a little over the top. So I liked it, but you know, with a little hesitation, right? So read this one. Okay. One book that I read that is not here. I read a book about oh my gosh, like the Frida Kahlo. I read a Frida Kahlo book. Now I've loaned that to a friend who is in the process of reading it right now. And it's kind of it's called What Would Frida Do? And it's sort of really reads like a magazine article. And the author is, yeah, that's what she does. She writes for like Cosmo and you know, things like that. And it just reads like that. Like it reads like you're reading a really long magazine article. And so that is somewhat of a distraction. It doesn't kind of feel professional in that way. But each chapter kind of feels like it could be a standalone in a magazine. And it talks about Frida's life and choices that she makes and why, you know, she kind of lived this sort of dysfunctional relationship with her husband, Diego Rivera. And just, you know, she just loved him so much, but it was like this obsessive, compulsive kind of love, but they like repelled and attracted each other, and it really wasn't healthy, and was an alcoholic. And but boy, did she make some beautiful art, and it was kind of in your face and things like that. I love her artwork. So it's like, oh, well, if you're having this problem and you're like, well, Frida would say, go F yourself and, you know, drink a glass of wine, and maybe you should have a glass of wine and, or have some tequila and just kind of let it loose and go dancing, you know? So, I mean, I don't know how helpful that was for me because I'm not a drinker. I certainly don't want to be in a obsessive compulsive sort of relationship where I can't be with someone, I can't be without them, and that they, you know, just kind of drive me crazy. But you know, it was kind of interesting to read, and not sure, like I said, not sure how much I am able to do sort of self-improvement for myself with it. All right, so the last book that I read, Do This For You, Chrissy Sela. So, you know, I've said I'm 52 years old. Well, I had no idea who this woman was, right? I didn't realize that she's like this internet famous, Pinterest, Instagram, you know, person who has a fitness app for your phone. I had no idea. I just was like, oh, do this for you, how to be a strong woman from the inside out. She's attractive, she's fit, and then like on the back, what it says is do this for focus, purpose, routine, discipline, progress, community, well-being, success, happiness, pride, self-confidence, strength, and you. And I was like, oh, well, you know, hey, this sounds like something that, you know, I could use sort of in my life. So there's a lot of the personal in this book as well, which, you know, I guess that's kind of the fashion in these types of books. I've never read self-help books before I started doing the 75 Hard. But a lot of this book is an advertisement. I mean, and it says, oh, and if you're part of my Instagram group, if you're part of my Facebook group, we've got all these great women on here, and so a lot of it is an advertisement for her social media empire. This book really could have used some editing to get rid of a lot of the, you know, pat myself on the back. I got out of a bad relationship and now I'm in a good one. I was kind of a chubby girl and I worked out really hard and I got a better butt and I worked on my self-esteem and this was okay. It was, there are definitely some things that I took from this, but, yeah, I mean, none of the books that I read were perfect, and that's fine, right? So I'm gonna be looking for some new books to add to, what is it that I'm going to read, and I'm looking for suggestions. So thank you so much for your love and your support, and I please, hey, if you took value from this, if you're interested in what I'm doing as far as like my weight loss, like I said, I've started, pardon me, started a channel on Instagram. I'm learning Instagram. And so it's burn _that_ butter, burn that butter. That's me. And I'm documenting my journey. I'm down about 35, 40 pounds right now. I think I've got about 35, 40 pounds left to go. I'll know when I get there. And hopefully I can inspire you and you can inspire me. All right. Have a great day. I love you all. Thanks so much. Bye.